Okay, so plantar fasciitis, so what mainly causes it? Basically, what mainly causes it is the feet. So basically, if the big toe is angling in, so you get like a little bit of a bunion on the side of your foot, big toe angles in, this basically tightens up the arch and then stops blood flow to kind of the area of the heel. So it causes tissue death, basically. The other cause is, if you look at your shoe, a lot of shoes are kind of angled up. So the toes are basically pointing up, which then stretches the underneath the foot. And again, anything that's stretched is obviously now going to become weakened, okay? So those are your two main reasons. Look at this shoe. This is obviously a modern shoe, okay? So basically it starts angling in here. So the big toe gets pulled into the position. It gets closer to your foot, and then that causes a bunion. So that's the problem with the modern day shoes. If you look at the Viva barefoot, so a much wider toe box, and you can see a straight line there. So the big toe is then basically allowed to be in its natural position, which is basically straight. That's kind of what causes your plantar fasciitis, okay? So then we're gonna go on to how to fix it. Just think about it, my foot's crushed together, okay? So basically, how do I spread my foot back into its natural alignment, okay? How it should be. So all you would do, use one of these balls, it's called a peanut ball. Place it underneath the foot, so because now obviously your arch is going to be tight because the big toe's pointed in, so this will be tight because of that there. So basically just to help loosen it up, get some blood supply back into the area, okay? So just a little roll. And then, so where your foot's being crushed together here, okay, this is all going to now be quite condensed and tight. So you need to free it up and loosen it up. Otherwise, putting the toe spaces in can be a bit painful because it spreads, obviously, the toes apart and opens it back into its natural position. So all you would do is just do that, obviously, do this standing up so you get a bit more pressure into it. Spend a couple of minutes here, okay? And then if you can see obviously the difference, so this is your foot crushed together, okay? You put the toe spacer in, and then that's how your foot should look, okay? So basically back in alignment, so my big toe is now obviously in the correct line, okay? So it's straight there, so you do not got the bunion anymore, and the little toe as well is pointed back towards its natural alignment, and this will help massively with balance, okay? So that's just the simplest way to get the foot back into its natural position, and now you want to strengthen your foot, okay? Because obviously when everything's pulled in, balance is going to be off, the foot's going to be quite weak, and obviously being the thick padded shoes, your foot just gets weaker over time, okay? So you basically want to strengthen up the foot, tie it in with your knee, your hips, so you're working the whole chain, okay? Okay, so once you've got your toe spaces in, obviously just build that up over time because it can be a bit sore on the foot because obviously now you're stretching the muscles out basically to their original position. So just build that up over time. Then this is a half foam roller. So this is one of the best ways of basically just strengthening up your foot, your knee, your hips, and working on balance and just getting that foot back to being strong again, okay? If you see here, because you can see it will naturally, kind of the toe will naturally go into its correct position and the foot will naturally spread out, okay? So it's quite good for that as well. And then all you do is your 4 points of touch, so 2 to one side. So again, working on your balance, but working on that whole foot strength there, like so. So that's one you can do. Then the other one is, again, having the foot on top, heels floating off the edge. And you're doing a couple like that. And then you can eventually do a split squat. So you could do the split squat on top of the foam roller. So you're there, again, inhale. Pull myself down, exhale to come up, like so. So the foam roller is just a really good tool just to basically work on your balance and your foot strength, which is obviously what you need from your plantar fasciitis, okay? And again, it helps with that big toe being realigned, obviously where your toe spaces as well. But that's something you can do. It's a really good warm up, and then you go into your exercises. Okay, so then you come in, so you've done your warm up on the half foam roller. You now come into strength training. So another thing you need to do is when you're training, you go into single leg exercises, okay? You basically wanted to get the big toe straight. So if you see right now, my big toe is angled inwards, okay? So what you do is basically put your big toe onto the floor, then screw it so it's now, everything's turning out that way, but keeping the big toe down. So I'm screwing my heel into position. And then as you can see, that straightens up the big toe, but also allows the foot to grip the floor, which then switches on the whole of the chain. Okay, so here's how it look in a split squat. So just screw your foot in, that keeps the big toe in alignment, grip the floor, so you feel a lot more stronger. And then all you're gonna do is pull yourself down, so inhale, pull myself down. Obviously you're not allowing that knee now to cave in because you don't want that, okay? You wanna keep it in a straight line, works the outside muscles better, and then push through the whole foot, all the way up, okay? So that's the main thing to think about with plantar fasciitis, is obviously getting the toe back open again into its natural position. So toe spaces are probably the quickest and most effective way of doing that. Obviously just build that over time, and then obviously work on exercises to strengthen up your feet, but plus the hold of the chain, the knee, the hips as well, okay? And also the other thing to remember is you can do as much work as you want outside of trainers, but if you're then constantly putting your feet back into bad trainers that are crushing the foot again, you're just going to keep going back to square one, okay? So you need to kind of start thinking about probably barefoot shoes, basically something with a wider toe box, okay, that doesn't crush your feet again, that will then mean that the plantar fasciitis doesn't keep coming back, okay? So again, something like a Vivo Barefoot is a good brand. I wear these for like training and stuff. Obviously, if you don't have any shoes on at all, just have your socks on when you're in the gym. If not, Vivo Barefoots are a good option. The other option is Groundies, which I think probably look a bit better for going out and stuff. Groundies or Feel Grounds are the two brands that I like, but I'll put that in the link in the description. Obviously up to you, but again, long term, you need to probably start thinking about barefoot shoes if the plantar fasciitis isn't going to keep coming back. And hopefully you like this video. If you do, if you could just subscribe and like the video, that would be amazing. Thank you.